If you're looking for a fun road trip, I've put together a few locations that are remnants from the glory days of Cape Ann's granite industry. I think it's appropriate to start at the headquarters of the Rockport Granite Company, built in 1892. It's still standing today at 83 Granite Street, and not much has changed. It has a beautiful slate mansard roof, crowned with a carved ornament. The stone is a combination of gray and orange granite, and Thomas O'Hearn of Pigeon Cove carved the date stone and company name. Now, if we drive down the hill to the immediate left of the headquarters, we come to Granite Pier, once owned by the Rockport Granite Company. Here we see a four-masted schooner waiting to load paving stones, and this is what it looks like today. Although there are no longer piles and piles of granite waiting to be shipped, it still acts as a pier and offers beautiful views of the coastline and ocean. And note the small compass carved at the end. If you continue driving to your right, towards that brown house, you'll come to a little dirt path. Park your car and start walking until you come to the Keystone Bridge, or the Great Arch, as I prefer. As you can see by the carved date stone, it was built in 1872. The fact that cars are still safely driving over it after 151 years shows how sturdy and well made it is. It took 4 years to blast through the granite wall in order to lay down railroad tracks that led directly to the pier. If you continue to walk where these tracks once stood, you will reach the Flat Ledge Quarry. Today, it is filled with drinking water that is used for Rockport during emergencies. Standing at the base, you really get a sense of how large a quarry could get, and this was just 1 out of 60 in use. It was started by the Gloucester and Boston Granite Company in the 1830s and was originally called John Swan's Pit. It grew quickly and was the first large-scale quarry on Cape Ann, producing over 32,000 tons of paving stones in 1905. This is what it looked like back in the day. In the top right, you can see the Great Arch, and to the left is the company headquarters with the masts of sloops and schooners beyond. Now, if you look to the far left, you'll see a little house with 2 chimneys. This was the boarding house for quarrymen. It was built in 1840 by the president of the Boston and Gloucester Granite Company, Zacharias Green. It's still standing today at 87 Granite Street as a private residence. Amazing to think of all the immigrant quarrymen who stayed here over the years. As we drive closer to Rockport's downtown, we come to the beautifully proportioned Sewall-Scripture house. As indicated by the date stone, it was built in 1832 by Levi Sewall for his bride Mary Roberts. They moved in on their wedding day. Sewall was a stonecutter who would go on to form the Pigeon Hill Granite Company in 1870. Today, the house is owned by the Sandy Bay Historical Society and has a wonderful exhibition inside about Cape Ann's granite industry. Now let's head downtown. Just as Proctor, Vermont had many local buildings made of marble, you will find many buildings in Rockport made of granite. As you pull into town on Broadway, you will pass the post office on your right, constructed with Treasury Department funds in 1938. Hanging in the lobby is this New Deal mural, painted by W. Lester Stevens, called Prepping Rockport Granite for Shipment. To the left of the library is the matching granite fire station with carved granite ornament up top. Down a little, at the corner of Broadway and School Street, you'll find the Rockport Public Library, originally built as a machine shop for the Annisquam Cotton Mill. When it burned down in 1864, the owner, George Tarr, eventually left it to the town to be turned into a school. The original library stood nearby at the junction of Jewett and Cleve Street. It was a Carnegie library, built in 1907 of locally quarried, seam-faced, bicolor granite with Greek Revival features. The building functioned as a library until 1993, but it is now a private residence. From here, look towards the ocean, and you can't miss the former Granite Savings Bank at 47 Main Street. Definitely one of my favorite buildings in Rockport. I love the lettering up top, and if you look at the bottom right cornerstone, you'll see the date. Now let's head to Gloucester. Along the way, you'll pass James Babson's farm, built in 1658 in the area long known as Beaver Dam. Here, he built barrels that were used to ship fish from Good Harbor Beach. His son James supposedly killed a bear on what is now known, because of him, as Bearskin Neck. As you continue driving, look quickly to your left and you'll see this town marker, R for Rockport, G for Gloucester, and 1840 for when Rockport officially became a town. As you enter downtown Gloucester, you'll pass by Fitz Henry Lane's house, perched atop 8 Harbor Loop Road. The famed seascape painter designed and built this 3-story Gothic Revival building for his house and studio in 1849, and there's a wonderful statue of him sketching to the right of it. The Gloucester Safe Deposit and Trust Company was built in 1919 at the corner of Main and Pleasant Street. It is faced with a Musabeck red granite in a ribbed finish. Down the street, kitty corner to Bananas, is the cutest little granite shop, originally opened as the Cape Ann Savings Bank in 1846. The Joan of Arc statue is just a few minutes away in Legion Square. The enormous base is made of carved sea-green granite from the Blvd Quarry in Lanesville. Wrapping around the base is a granite bench and bronze plaques honoring those who gave their lives in the Great World War. If you ignore the private road signs, you can drive to and park at the Eastern Point Lighthouse. It will take you about 15 minutes to walk the entire length of the breakwater, which stretches 2,250 feet into the ocean. Each Cape Ann granite block weighs 12 to 13 tons. It was built from 1894 to 1905 to mark the Dog Bar Reef. And finally, in Salem, just because it's my hometown, I had to mention the mighty Registry of Deeds Courthouse on Federal Street. It was built in 1909 in the Classical Revival style. The large pediment above the main entrance is supported by 6 Ionic columns. Here's a photo of one of the capitals being carved from a single piece of granite. Above the door is the carved head of a woman who's wearing a Greek helmet, presumably symbolizing Athena. So that ends the Cape Ann road trip. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe.